Space, the final frontier.
This is the podcast of State of the Federation.
Its ongoing mission.
To explore strange new ships.
To seek out new builds and new combinations.
To boldly go where no fleet has gone before.
Citizens of the Federation, and welcome back to another episode of State of the Federation. I'm your host Tucker, and with me today are my co-hosts Robert and Joseph. How you guys doing?
I can't complain. The world is still together, and we have new and creative ways to play Star Trek Tackling, which makes me even more excited to be here tonight.
I'm doing very well. I don't know if the world is still together, but I don't care.
Though I will say, in our typical baseball reference, Joseph, tell us in a thematic and narrative sense about your slow-pitch softball game today.
Okay, well, here's the deal. So, here are the series of outrages.
Narrative. I need a narrative from this, though. You've lost my attention. So
the outlook wasn't brilliant for the Gulf 9 that day.
We have a crooked commissioner, Bud Selig-esque, running the league, who, after strong-arming some of his loyalists, instituted for the first month of the season a draconian rule implementation, which is that each batter starts with a 1-1 count.
What?
Yes. And
that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It is.
It speeds up the game. I get it. I'm on board with the change.
And he is, of course, a pitcher. And we faced him tonight. And
did you knock him around?
And he devastated us.
Yeah.
He devastated us. But the more
that's easier when you start with one damn strike.
The moral victory was ours.
How so, Joseph? How so? I'm on the edge of my seat.
Well, after the end of the game, when I shook hands with everyone on his team, when I got to him, because he's an old guy, right? Like, he's been running the league for 30 years. I told him that I was more than pleased to give him a few victories in C Division slow pitch, because he obviously didn't have too many victories left as he was approaching the end of his life. And I feel that really hit home. So the moral victory was to us.
But did you shake his hand?
No.
Oh, good.
That's a little screwed up. I'm not gonna lie. That's a little screwed up.
Hey,
it's a little dark,
we never said Joseph was a protagonist. He's always been the anti-hero.
C Division slow pitch is serious biz, man.
Okay, but on other non-attacking news, I was horrified tonight to find out that Joseph has never seen any of the Mad Max movies except for the first one, which we all know is terrible.
I've seen the first and the last one, which are both terrible.
You're calling Fury Road terrible?
Well, it's an okay B action movie.
Get the hell off my podcast. I'm not even lying.
Go take a shower. You reek. Not only do you reek of bad sportsmanship, but you reek of bad movie analysis.
If Arnold was in that movie, it would have been elevated, but he wasn't. So it's like a discarded 80s actioner.
I am not kidding. I will argue to the death that is one of the best movies ever made.
No.
You know what the best movie ever made is? Star Trek 4. You know what Star Trek 4 was?
That's not even the best.
It was in an
That's not even the best Star Trek movie.
I know, Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan.
No!
You argue something is better than Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan.
First Contact.
No, wow.
No. I know you're biased towards the Borg, but no.
We are the Borg. The Borg are amazing.
First Contact gets a big push because we were desperate for there to be a good TNG movie.
No, I am not going to sit here and let you insult my favorite Star Trek movie. The line must be drawn here.
Yeah.
This far, no further.
No further.
Oh God, I'm redlining. I'm so sorry for everybody listening to this. I'm redlining my mic.
Oh my god, that is my favorite Patrick Stewart quote of all time.
Yeah, is that the best Picard moment?
It has to be. It's so
I
uncharacteristic of him.
I don't know
It's
if I can
hilarious.
definitively say. I mean, it's certainly a candidate. I'll say this: it's the best non-tapestry Picard moment for sure.
I guess what about there are
That
four lights?
that's
I mean,
true.
that has to measure up there
He
as
got there
well.
before I did. Yeah. I mean, there are four lights. That's okay. That's. I mean, this is all a whole other discussion we could just get into. I mean, I don't want to. We do actually.
How
Sorry.
how truly random for us to talk about the best Patrick Stewart quote. Okay, quick, Joseph, best Patrick Stewart quote, definitively.
The best Patrick Stewart quote?
Yeah, definitively. Go.
No, there is. The man's got a rich body of work spanning decades.
It's also worth mentioning one of the reasons that the line must be drawn here speech is so perfect is because of how it gets parodied in the DS9 finale.
By who? Cisco?
No, by Quark.
Yeah.
In his
Oh,
speech
really?
about in his speech
About
about
protecting the bar.
the protecting the bar, it's like, no, we're gonna do things the Ferengi way. He literally says the thing. Like, go back and watch it again. It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That does sound like a nice spot in an otherwise unfortunate season of Deep Space Nine, but yeah.
No, I mean, like, it's almost to the point where I want like a Captain Skill 8 quirk that's like at the beginning of the game, choose a Ferengi opponent if whenever you're attacking that ship, you get an automatic crit and an extra defense die.
Still wouldn't get played over the Quark we have.
By the
When
way,
the-
I want to recognize that I do not want to let go of the fact that Joseph once again was very contrarian by subtly arguing that the seventh season of DS9 was a bad season.
Yeah, because it's a bunch of garbage.
It is an okay season that went incredibly rapidly downhill.
I actually take great pleasure in how they
Bajoran
ended.
Gull Dukat.
What more do you need? I'm looking for his inclusion into the Star Trek Attack Ring WoW.
No.
It's going to be his character with Kai Quinn. When that pack comes out, I'm going to buy 20. WizKids, do you hear me?
Okay, you know what?
I
No.
will cover
Okay.
your cost
Dear
of development.
Whiz Kids, if I have any credit with you whatsoever, please, God, let there never be a Bajoran Gull Dukat card. I love you all, Tucker. You know, the one from State of the Federation. Okay, there we go. Send that email.
And State of the Federation Next Generation.
Which,
Well, I
Don't
already
want to
sent
get
the
them
email.
confused.
in 50 years, people will be talking about which one's better.
Right. Yeah, they will be. My question, though, is Bajoran Dukat tri-factional between
No.
Dominion Independent and Bajoran?
No.
He's just independent.
I think he should be
Well, he's not
tri-factional.
with- he's
I
not
think
with
we
the
need to make
Dominion
that a
anymore.
thing. But he was.
He was doing some lunatic
Yeah,
religious
but
thing.
Dukat, who is no longer with the Dominion, is identified as a Dominion in the DS9 pack.
Okay, so I'm just going to cut us off here and say that since we've already spent 10 minutes talking about this, perhaps we move on to the actual topic for today. So each of us have gone through all of the past OPs, and we have each picked out what our favorite of them is, though I think Joseph fudged his a little.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
Well, I mean, technically, it's factually a thing because there's a no-win scenario. So
Like being a Blue Jays fan?
Hey, we've been in.
I
They've been
don't
in the playoffs the
actually.
last 2 years. What more do you want?
Well, it's not just that. Like, I think they're actually. They might pull it out. Like, they might wind up in a. I'm not sure that they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna win a division or anything. But they might wind up. In a respectable third or something. I could see it.
Well, let's keep on topic here. Where
Yeah, where we're straight.
We
Okay,
don't want to
so
get Joseph Soaps up too high.
let's. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump right in then. Robert, I think, was going to start us off. So, Robert, what is your favorite OP?
So my favorite OP, non-coincidentally, is also the first OP that I ever won, and probably had my favorite prize ship to date. Not well, I guess it's not my favorite prize ship. It's my favorite prize ship of the time, and probably one of my top 3 favorite prize ships, just because of which faction it represents. And that OP is Arena.
Da-na, 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 da-da-da-na-na-na. Okay, so true story. That song is actually not in that episode. That song first appeared in Amok Time, which was a later episode.
Well, it is memorable though for that wonderful fight scene we see on the planet. And the thing I think what we talk about often with our OPs is we try to find the OPs that stay away from the traditional joust. And so what I particularly liked about this one is not only was there the captain fight after the 3rd round, but also you got to move the planet and reposition ships so to basically restart the battle. Incredibly creative OP design.
Now,
And
it is
so-
worth mentioning, I am going to... There is a slight change to the OP on that repositioning front. They had to errata it. Which is...
Range 3 of the edges, correct? Or was there a different rule?
No, the ruling was after a ship is placed, the not placing player has the option of rotating their ships, I think up to 180 degrees. Isn't that right?
Oh,
So
yes. You're right,
they
because they were afraid that people would fly them off the board.
And they were right. I mean, it was, especially with the ships that were available at the time, I think there were about something like 4 or 5 non-Borg ships in the game that would not instantly lose by flying off the board, or at least lose over the course of a couple turns after they do one forwards.
And I think you could get ships stuck against the planet too.
Well, you did.
But before we get to any of that, Tucker, some people listening to this podcast may not even know the foundational rules of this OP.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Yeah,
Never.
and you forced me to go to the WizKid site and dig them up. So
That's correct,
I
I
might
did.
as well stare at this PDF on my screen and regurgitate some rules. So the basic concept of this OP was that there's a planet in the center of the map, and players start in the general starting areas on the north and south. There are 3 mission tokens set to the west side, and each player has away mission tokens that were provided with the OP. In fact, this is also one of the OPs that came with a plethora of tokens. The planet token, the away mission
God.
tokens.
This OP happened literally years ago, and I'm still digging out resource tokens from some of my attack wing stuff. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, the away team tokens were fantastic. The mission tokens were fantastic. It's not my favorite planet of them all, but it is better than the peak performance planet.
No, I mean the resource tokens, dude. There was a whole pack of like, there were 40 raw materials tokens. 40.
Yes. Oh, yes. So what would happen is the players would fly their ships towards the planet, and at the end of each turn, a mission token would be removed from the side of the board. When the last mission token was and whenever a ship moved within range 1 to 2 of the planet, the ship could lower its shields and beam the captain down to the planet. Go ahead.
I don't think you have the rules right. The way it worked was like this.
Go for it.
You started off with the Rudy Tooty point and shooties, basically a joust with a planet in the middle. But at the end of each round, you removed one mission
Captain was
token.
beamed off.
Right,
That's
and
right.
each time a mission token was removed, you have to place an away team token on the captain card with the highest skill number that doesn't already have one on it. And they go away and go to the surface of the planet. And any ship that has an away team token on their captain has a skill of 1, basically. You basically transport the captain card to the planet, which isn't really a thing that the game lets you do, so they get the away team tokens. So then, once the last mission token goes away, all the captains that aren't already on the planet go to the planet, and then you have the captain fight. The reason you wanted to get close to the planet was prior to the captain fight, your ship could move next within range 1 to 2 of the planet and take an action to help out your captain by helping them find raw materials like crystals and gunpowder and, I don't know, muskets and stuff.
Yeah, so let's see. Action. So treat the regular planet any blah blah blah. Action. Target one of your captains on your away team. Roll 1 attack die for every point of the captain's skill number. For every battle station result, place one raw material token on the captain card, minimum 1. Note, each captain in your away team may only be targeted by this action once per round. So that's the action your ship could take during the turn. And then the attacking, so what happens is the attacker, once the last mission token happens, as Tucker said, you go into the battle.
Da-na,
And the battle...
da-na, da-na. And actually, so true story, in most OPs I played in, it took almost exactly as long to resolve the captain battle as it takes to go through one playthrough of that track. So I would always just set it up on my iPod, and it helps the scenario immensely. Sorry, go ahead, Robert.
That's okay. So the attacker would spend one of the resource materials from a captain card and roll 6 attack dice. If there are no raw materials, the captain would only roll 3 attack dice. The defender must then assign damage to one of his captains equal to the number of hits and critical results marked on the damage cards. Captains with face-down cards from damage deck. Blah, blah, blah. When a captain receives a number of damage cards equal to or greater than his captain skill, that captain is immediately destroyed and the captain card is removed from the game. Remove all damage. The player whose captain has the next highest skill on the number attacks next. And so basically you would just keep going through until all the resources were exhausted and all the captains were killed.
All of one player's captains were killed.
All of one player's captains were killed, correct.
And there was a simultaneous attack rule. The simultaneous attack rule does apply to captains fighting as well as ships. And you would just roll off.
If both player captains are destroyed in the same attack, the player with the most battle station results is considered the victor of the captain's battle. So what I particularly like, first of all, with the mechanic of the captain's battle, was a great addition. It's a very fun way.
Hang on. What happens after the captain's battle?
Oh, well, that's what I was going to get to next. First, I wanted to applaud WizKid's creativity for the captain's battle. And then there's the aftermath, which is the next section. Once the captain's battle is over, return all of the damage cards to the captains to the damage deck and reshuffle the damage deck. This is the best part. The victorious player then resets the entire play area with the following limitations. And essentially, you got to move the planet anywhere you wanted to on the board with certain restrictions, and then you got to replace the opposing player's fleet in any position that you wanted. And that's how the rules are written. Tucker, was there an errata to this rule?
Yeah, what happened was you could place the ships such that the ships had to be placed. No ship could be placed within 4 inches, in other words, range 1, of any token ship or any edge of the play area. But what you could do was, if you point a ship, and many ships in the game at the time, the vast majority of ships did not have a reverse maneuver. So what you could do is, if you pointed a ship diagonally facing the corner, as close to the corner as you could, most of them couldn't turn quickly enough to get out of that corner without flying off the map and exploding. So that errata was once those ships have been placed, the losing player, the player that lost the captain's battle, can then rotate them up to 180 degrees.
And something else another errata that came out here, which is how I cheated and won this OP, was it said that admirals could not become captains on the ships that had a captain beamed down to the planet. So the admiral itself could also not later become a captain to be beamed down. Because people were trying to stack captains on the planet, and so one of the ways that they were doing this is to include an admiral on a ship. And the original thinking is that when the captain was beamed down to the planet, the admiral would then become a captain who could then later be beamed down. But this turned out to be not correct.
And really, that actually speaks to one of the best strategies for this. The way I won this was, I played a swarm of D7s with incredibly high skill Klingon captains, and that worked wonders because I had like 5 captains at skill like I don't know, something like 8, 7, 5 or something. You know, it was a ton of skill, and they did things like Martok that added attack dice to everything, and then my swarm of Burrells just
What
cleaned
was
up
the
at the end
first
of the
ship
round.
with an admiral on it? The Reef.
That
It
would
was
be the refit with Admiral Kirk.
no, that's incorrect. It was the Jem'Hadar battlecruiser with Gul Dukat.
I do not believe so, unless both were released at the same time. I think they might. That might be that they were released at the
I'm
same time.
gonna look. Hang on. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Gul Dukat's was previewed first, so it was the one we knew about first.
So
That I can't speak to
didn't
that.
this OP come out way before, like, admirals existed?
No, this was the OP. This was the OP just after Admirals were released.
Oh,
I don't think that's correct. I think you might have been playing yours late because Tholian Web came out prior to Wave 4. And yeah, Wave.
We played Tholian Web when Wave 4 came out.
Arena came.
Okay, but then you would have played Arena with Wave
Arena
5.
came out June 2014, and Wave 5 came out. No, Wave 6 came out July 2014. So even if you played it only a month late, you'd have admirals.
Yeah, but
And-
if you played it month of, then
Yeah, we traditionally out here in California, just like with time zones, we tend to be a little late with
It's a
everything.
simpler racket over there, as I've said many times.
I'm sorry, one of us was 45 minutes late to the
I
session
was 15
today.
minutes early. You guys were 45 minutes early.
What?
We'd be an hour. But that's what
What?
you get for the anti-hero.
Yeah,
The man who will not shake
that's
hands.
right.
Okay, whatever. The point is, Arena is a fantastically fun. It is such a subversion of what attack wing normally is, but in a very attack wing way.
And it was my favorite strategy that later became popular is this is one of the first times I saw a RSV swarm with cloaked mines. Because what Richard Bliss did was to win the battle with 5 or 6 Romulan science vessels, and then move the planet to the corner, shroud it in cloaked mines, and just hide behind there, inviting the other player to come back.
Which is sweet. But what if they decline the invitation?
I believe he would win with 15 points because he was he gives player receives plus 15 fleet points for each captain that survives.
Right, which was the point of having like 5 captains on the planet. If you distributed your tokens well and you rolled well enough, you could sometimes get 75 fleet points from that alone, and that was generally enough. That plus because you would score the points for the captains you killed, so you could realistically expect to leave the planet with a lead of 85 to 100 points.
They never decline the invitation anyway. You park yourself behind cloak mines,
Right.
they come.
And
they always do.
And sorry, keep in mind also, that's a lead of 90 to 100 points in a 100-point format. This was back in the old days when it was 100 points and anything goes.
That's a good point. Now I want to look up how many Romulan science vessels with captains can we get
Well,
for
it
100
depends on the
points.
captains.
You mean how many Klingon vessels with Klingon captains?
Actually, I'm pretty sure the correct, as with everything at the time, was just to play as many spheres as you could. And just lose the captain battle.
No.
No, this is actually one of them where spheres were terrible because you'd have too few captains to be able to participate.
You just lose the captain battle and then wipe their ship off the face of the earth.
Well, the thing was, though, if they came with 5 captains, like that gave them 75 points, and they only had to kill 1 sphere, and then they couldn't win.
No, because the win condition is destroy your opponent's fleet. As long as they wipe.
No, that's actually. Let's see. Is that? That's in here?
Yeah, no, it is. It says destroy all your opponent's ships. Okay, so technically,
But that would not be the win condition, because if I get more points than you, but you destroy my entire fleet, I still may technically win.
No, he's right. He's actually right. No, technically speaking, the winner is the person who destroys all the. If you table your opponent, you win even if you have fewer points. That's the language. That is fascinating. Huh. Well,
I know what you want to say, Tucker.
I'm still not sure the answer isn't Borg. Or the answer is the Borg, I should say. I mean, they are amazing.
For 500,
they are amazing.
For $500, the Borg are
amazing. But here's what I'm saying: the other thing you can
what
do.
Is amazing, by the way. So Tucker would not have gotten his $500.
Yeah, that's
the other thing you can do is I can set up all of my ships just facing yours into like a turkey shoot. Like that is a legal maneuver.
Yeah, but your Borg spheres are just going to be firing back anyway.
Sure, but like if you have like 6 D7s rolling 4 dice, you're not going to live through that.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you are.
2 spheres? 2 spheres would take that easily.
No, 1 sphere, because you only need to kill the one because, or you could just run away. You could spend the entire thing running away, and they'd have to make up 75 points on you.
Right, which is hiding behind the planet. And then when they try to come around the planet, you sort of scoot out the other side. And remember, because you've already spent 3 turns to do the mission tokens with the beam downs. You've done the battle, so you really only have about 30 minutes left once you reset. And that's if you're fast playing.
Yeah, and you can
hiding behind a planet to win on points
is a Romulan thing to do.
Is not a death worthy of Stovokor.
Because you're not going to die. You're going to fly away with proper intel like the Romulans always do.
Everyone dies eventually.
I feel like we've all switched places here.
Hey, if Romulans are needed to win the OP, I will not be so high as to not take the Romulans.
Yeah, they're great. What are you talking about?
Okay.
That's why, by the way, as a little inside knowledge, Joseph is taking all scimitars to Worlds. So that's what you need to prepare for. Isn't that right, Joseph?
And I found out how to fly 4 of them.
Yep.
I have to let that go. God damn it, you can't do that math. That math doesn't work.
Well,
what's your language, young boy? We don't want explicit tags.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
So okay, so I think the Borg...
Well, let's talk about the prize ship, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
The prize ship, Arena, the Gorn. It's such a fun ship. It's not used. I think it is underappreciated, but I really think it was incredibly thematic, and it was great for the independents. And I believe, no, it did not come with improved deflectors.
Didn't it come with...
It did not.
Didn't it come with fake messages?
It came with faked messages.
Yeah, so it came with the best elite talent in the game until Lure.
Yeah.
No, that was the first prize ship I ever won. I didn't win Arena. Arena was my first OP, but I got the lucky draw and went home with the Gorn.
Are you serious?
Joseph was a good sport?
No, they don't award it for that, or obviously I wouldn't get it. They just They just drew it from a hat randomly.
So they held an illegal raffle?
That's correct.
Oh, yes. No, it is, Tucker. That was an illegal raffle.
It was totally illegal because I think it was fixed because I was one of the 2 new players, and I think they wanted one of us to win to encourage us to keep coming, and they bitterly rued that over the following years. Let me tell you.
Can I point out something, Robert?
Please.
He's in Canada. The law might be different.
It is, and it's actually more severe. I have to sometimes deal with that issue. But, yeah. Oh, no, it's illegal. The laws that are broken in California with raffles. It's hilarious.
Should I be
raffles are
editing this?
Raffles are illegal?
Oh, yeah, raffles are highly illegal. Yeah, I'll give you the quick synopsis. The only law that governs raffles in California is actually the criminal code. So to violate the raffle laws of California is to actually commit a misdemeanor or a felony.
Wow. I feel like we all learned something today.
There's no way that they're illegal. That's ridiculous.
Okay, this is so far off topic.
This is exactly what we need to talk about.
No, that is false. Come on. We're halfway through the show and we're talking about raffles.
The world is slipping away, Tucker, and you want to talk about arena?
Yes. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, if anybody actually does want to know about the raffles that they're running, because when you give away a ship, I have to say, when you give a ship away on dice rolls, it's a raffle, and that could technically be problematic. But go ahead.
This does not constitute legal advice. You should always consult a lawyer, etc.
Robert is a lawyer.
Yeah, but you have to make that disclaimer, otherwise it constitutes, like, it makes him liable for stuff.
I can get into that too. Anyway, Tucker, what was your favorite one, so I can talk about the legal ramifications of running a contest?
Okay, so, as we all know, we are the Borg. The Borg are amazing. Therefore, the most awesome OP is the collective storyline OP month 2, the Battle of Wolf 359. Okay, so let's talk about, this is the easiest OP to explain ever. There's technical details and, there's a page's worth of rules, but
I take issue with that, but continue.
I'm going to basically run us through the quick and dirty version. There's a Borg cube. You shoot the Borg cube. You shoot the Borg cube until all of you die. Whoever damages it most wins. That's the whole thing. It sounds so simplistic, but it is so fun. Because the first thing to note about this is, as I mentioned when I was doing favorite scenarios back in the day, this is competitive co-op. You are not allowed to shoot at your opponents in this fleet, in this OP. You cannot do it. It is not allowed. Instead, you're shooting the big monster ship. Now, they had to do some errata, they're like, no, you can't use cloaked mines. In this day and age, it would probably be, Admiral Decker might be fair, actually, because it might give them more of a point. That's an interesting one. But, no, you can't, set off multi-kinetic neutron mines and hit it. No, you can't blow up your own ship and I stab at your opponent. That sort of thing. And really the point was to just, here's a big old cube, and it's shooting like 8 die attacks back at you, by the way. This is not an easy fight by any means. And just go ahead and blow the hell out of it. There's debris tokens. There's rules for the Borg cube blowing up the debris token. It is just a great scenario. It is one of the few scenarios that is extremely conducive to swarm fleets, simply because they don't lose as much attack dice as their ships progressively die. I did pretty well with, again, a Klingon swarm here. And here's one of the really interesting things. I'm going to read you off the victory condition for this. The player who inflicts the most damage to the Borg cube token by the end of the game is the winner. The game ends when the time limit is reached, 1 hour, or when both fleets are completely destroyed. Bonus. The winning player gains +1 battle point if he inflicted a total amount of damage to the Borg cube token that is 20 or more points of damage greater than the total damage inflicted by his opponent. Okay, this isn't fleet points. This is battle points. This is, you get 3 for winning and 1 for losing. So that can turn into, you get 4 for winning. And keep in mind, this is during a storyline series. So if you go on this particular story, on this particular AP, if you went 3-0 and did 20 more damage than your opponents every single time, it's as if you won an extra round for the purpose of determining the overall OP winner and the OP series winner.
You want my hot take on this OP?
Sure.
Most broken. It was so much fun, but it was the most broken. How was it broken? It was the most broken because Albert and I determined that you could take 4 Federation ships with generic captains and basically block any player from being able to line up with a shot on the board cube. And if your ships all had reverse, you could just move up in this wave and oscillate back and forth. And by placing your ships, you block any opponent from having a clear advantage on the ship, and then you win.
That means the board cube kills all your ships.
No, because what you
Yes.
do is you put the tokens out in front of it, so they destroy the tokens first, and then you're backing up later, so the other ships have to go past you, and then the board targets them.
Oh yes. In other words, the strategy is to essentially oscillate back and forth at range 3 once the other ships go by. That
Correct.
can win, and that was the only thing that gave my Klingon swarm a run for its money. But I eventually did beat it with more than 20 damage. It can be beaten. You just have to use extremely unconventional things. And I mean, I was using a swarm of it was 3 D7s and a Raptor because I needed a tech slot for something. I forget what. And one of the D7s had had the Klingon flagship on it, and I ran Martok 8 that gives dice to everybody, and it was ridiculous because I mean I was rolling like 5 dice with all these little ships, and they all had battle stations, and like Worf was on there for rerolls, and I mean it was nuts. You could throw a lot of damage that way, and this was in the era of 90-point fleets. Or no,
No, I
it was
don't think you had
80.
blind.
It was 80. It was 80-point fleets with a blind. No, the collective
No.
OP were the ones with the blinds. Those were the first ones with the blinds.
Is there blind in this one? I
yes.
guess there was, because
Yeah.
you'd want to draw the Jaeger. You're right, because the Jaeger was in there.
Yeah, and
So-
you'd want to draw the Jaeger for that particular
I think
strategy.
I think it was
you
90
wanna-
points, but yeah.
It might have been 90 points.
Yeah,
It might have been 90
so what
points.
we were doing, I think, was 3 ships, but we measured it out perfectly to prevent the other player from being able to go. And we also devised a strategy with our opponents to roll fast. So I think we would get in about 10 or 11 rounds in a 1 hour period and get our numbers into the 80s and 90s for damage.
80s and 90s, dude. My record was 130 something.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. Here's a hot take. This is the worst OP that I have ever played in my life. In my
Now wait, okay. We have to qualify that. The worst OP that you experienced because you did something, or you just did not like the rule set.
I'm about to elaborate. It is
You know?
I know what he's saying.
It is
I
the
know why he's
only-
saying this.
OP that I've never won. The Raven is, I think, the only prize ship I don't have, because I will never buy it, because I don't deserve to own it, because I didn't win the collective OP2. And why I hate it so much is because I know so my strategy actually was a little different than both of yours, which is that we determined that if you took 3 Keldons and the match lasted 5 turns, which you could certainly, because ships weren't dying. Over the 5 turns could easily go an hour, and no one could really outdamage Keldons in 5 turns. So it will shock and astound the two of you, I'm sure, to realize that I was not always the man and attack wing player that I am today. So, in each of my OPs that I played, I would start to speed up as my opponent became more and more devastated by my slow, stately pace of play. Whereas today, their discomfort would nourish me more than food. At the time, I was young and naive and foolish, and I felt bad. And so I kept playing and at a quicker pace, and we got, 6, 7, 8 turns in for each game. And so then my Keldons, once they died, they were outpaced in damage. So I hate it for 2 reasons. 1, because I didn't win a Raven, and I don't deserve a Raven. And 2, because more maybe than any other OP, it rewards being a jerk to your opponent.
I will say this. It is also the only OP I ever won twice.
I my not to pat myself on the back, and I think Joseph can do this, but my heyday, I was winning 3 OPs a month, and that was a glorious time.
Well, I just didn't have that many venues, and I also at the time, as some of you may remember from State of the Federation, I was tutoring, and that's prime tutoring time is basically the same time you would do OPs.
So you chose poorly.
Well, I chose to eat. I can't eat attack wing ships.
Gotta,
I think Joseph
you
has
gotta
corrected.
stay lean to stay mean, Tucker.
I think Joseph has pointed out you can eat the souls and tears of your opponents.
Oh, that's tempting. They're delicious.
Well,
But Joseph,
the,
is it not correct that you win 4 OPs a month?
well, let me just say this. The only OP that, let me spell it out, the only OP that Tucker won twice was the one that rewarded cruelty.
We are the Borg are amazing.
You should be
It is amazing how much these games are insights to our lives.
I don't, yeah, I think at my height, I was playing 4 OPs a month.
Anyway, let's actually that seems like a good segue. If you were playing 4 OPs a month, tell us which one of them was your favorite.
Well, the short answer is none of them, because
Sorry, that just tickles my funny bone. Go ahead.
I just want to blow stuff up, and I don't want any of these silly extra points or battle points gumming up the works. So my
Hang on. So in that mindset, wouldn't peak performance be a good one then? Because I mean that's the epitome of blowing stuff up.
No, it's not. It's the opposite. Nothing ever blows up. It keeps coming back. Isn't that how that works?
Well, right, but you kept blowing things up, but it would come back to blow up again.
Yeah. No, I don't derive any enjoyment from blowing up a ship, Robert. It's just a necessary evil for my victory, which is glorious and necessary.
I love blowing up ships. Peak performance was a strong honorable mention for me.
No.
I mean, if you want to talk about a common theme, between Collective OP2 and peak performance, it's probably stuff blowing up.
Yeah, but peak performance is shenanigans as well. I have to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans. That one I will certainly concede is a lot of shenanigans.
Oh, I know it's so much fun. Okay, continue, Joseph.
So my favorite scenario that I have ever played is the scenario for the 2015 Worlds, which is simple and elegant. Each player brings a planet token. The player who has initiative is given the option to place a planet token or not. And then the other player has the option of placing their planet token or not. It can't be within range 2 of the edge of the board or within range 2 of any other planet. And it doesn't get any simpler than that. But it, was a time when men were gentlemen and decided their own fate. And it just having those 2 planets potentially there, or even 1 planet, virtually eliminated jousting, balanced out fighters, which are, as you guys know, the greatest scourge to the game in my opinion, and was just tons of fun. Rewarded making difficult decisions well.
So my understanding from that event is that it's still benefited the Borg the most because the Borg were the easiest to maneuver around
Your
planets.
understanding is antiquated, as Smaug would say. It benefited things with extra movement. So Cloaker's got a big, huge benefit from it. The Borg did get a benefit from it. More than the movement, it was that they could come up behind the planet and engage ships more reliably within range 1 to 2. So it's harder to get that at them from range 3.
Actually, something that reminds me, Richard Bliss devised the strategy of setting a planet up near his fleet in the corner, and then what he would do is he would just consistently bump his planet until the other fleet was forced to fly by the planet, and then his whole fleet would jump the planet and then
Yeah,
turn.
exactly. The benefits it could give you are essentially unending if you had some cleverness to you, right? So I don't think it benefited the Borg at all, with perhaps the exception of it was certainly a playground for the 608, but almost any scenario is.
I did enjoy that scenario specifically because it allowed me to build the cloaking fleet that used maneuverability to hide both on and beside the planet.
That's right, and there was a 40-minute rules debate.
Yeah, that I lost.
And here's another thing, by the way, about this scenario. I think we mentioned that the planet placement is optional, but if you don't like it, you can just do an open field. If you and your opponent both want to do an open field, you don't have to place planet tokens.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like two Klingon fleets that just wanted to joust could set the planet. They could have no planets, and then just run at each other and joust. So yes, it did offer immense flexibility with the design of the board.
And also, this was something we talked about extensively on State of the Federation that never ended up mattering. But there are actually a couple of different sizes of planet tokens. Some of them are like a few millimeters smaller than others.
There are three sizes.
There are three sizes.
Yeah, there are three sizes. There's the retail one, which is the smallest. There is I believe it's the peak performance one, which is literally a millimeter less than all of the other planets from the OPs. And I have no idea how that happened. But yes, there's officially three sizes.
And you could bring any one of them.
And you can bring any one of them. So, Joseph, I'm curious, though, how do you think of the new objective token layout?
I really enjoy that as well. I think also it rewards making difficult decisions correctly. It doesn't prohibit the joust quite as much, and it doesn't punish playing fighters quite as much. So it would be probably my second favorite to the planets.
I just wish that you could place more than one of the ones that weren't space stations, honestly. I feel like that would be more interesting.
The reason they don't do that is because those were the ones that came with the retail set. And I don't think that they wanted to disadvantage people that only had one retail starter set.
No, I mean, I get it, but, like, still.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanted 3 abandoned ships or 3 asteroids.
Oh, I want 3 debris. I want to make my opponent have to dodge those things. Are you kidding?
What is it? The abandoned ship that takes away an Ox token? Give me those all day and all night.
Oh yeah, those. If you have 6 ships that take away Ox tokens, that just results in the most broken ridiculousness ever.
As long as your fleet is built to use it, yeah. I am very excited to see the second year of the use of the objective tokens because I think people have a better understanding of how to use them from last year. So we'll see better placement and usage. I hope.
And the objective tokens are like the X-wing asteroids plus, which I enjoy. When Star Trek just does it and then a step above for complexity, I like that because Star Trek is more complex than Star Wars. It makes sense. That's how it should be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, I think that's we're pretty much at the hour mark here, so I think that's actually a pretty great place to wrap it up. Any final thoughts about any of these OPs?
I have final thoughts, but not about the OP.
Well, I'll tell you what. Before we do that, Joseph, I'll tell you a response to something I thought about earlier. You know what OP Scout 608 doesn't shine in?
That space, the one with the space bacteria.
Wolf 359.
Oh yes. And actually, Borg did okay in Wolf 359. But Matter of Honor, you're right. It did terrible in Matter of Honor.
That's correct. Yeah, it was really bad at Matter of
Honor. Yeah, we didn't get it. So other things I just want to mention real fast. We didn't get to talk about it. Everybody should buy Tabletop Simulator.
Everybody should buy Tabletop Simulator. I swear to God, it's so good.
Yeah, Tabletop Simulator is the new god.
And I want to be emphasized, like, it's good enough that I am considering reversing my position on video feeds and recording some games between me and Joseph, or me and Robert, or even Robert and Joseph with me as a spectator recording, like we, and just looking at them, and because it is probably at this point, I have played this once, and by the middle of that game, I was playing it more quickly than I play Attack Wing in real life.
We have to set the timer to 45 minutes because that's the best way to mimic 1 hour.
The fidelity of the interface is just, it's something else.
And there's
so
none of that.
to-
There's none of that shenanigans with, oh, did I do the movement right? Oh, did I bump the thing? It's like, oh, automated movement.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Yes, that's so
And-
nice.
Credit to Crazy Horse. He did an amazing job
Crazy
and is
Vulcan.
still doing an amazing
Crazy-
job
Crazy
fixing it
Vulcan.
up. Crazy Vulcan, yeah.
Crazy Vulcan is the developer of the Star Trek Attack Wing Virtual Tabletop mod. Crazy Horse was a famous leader of Native American tribes.
And also an Excelsior class ship.
Yes, also an Excelsior class ship, which is named after him.
And the other guy that what's the name of the guy that does that intro video? Because that
Tony Moon.
also full credit to him, because that's a great video. And that if you're gonna play on Tabletop Simulator, get that video.
Yeah, Tony
And they
Moon,
have-
thank you for teaching me how to play in like 15 minutes. I may have fast forwarded through parts of it.
Yeah. They also have a Discord, so you should look up their Discord channel, and they play most evenings, and then I try to hop on once or twice a week.
Yeah, I might actually start looking for a chance to test out some of the battle station builds I do. So we'll see. But anyway, lots of exciting stuff ahead in the Star Trek Attack Wing future, thanks to Virtual Tabletop, and we're getting ever closer to Worlds. So we'll
And my shameless plug, the unsanctioned nationals in the Southwest and the Northeast will both be June 3rd.
Yes, there are unsanctioned regionals in the Northeast and the Southwest. Southwest is in Fremont at Game Castle. I don't know the location of the Northeast one off the top of my head. You should definitely check both of those out. We're going to be looking at reviewing them next time. But until then, have a good night, everybody. If you like the show, give us a good review on iTunes. But for now, dials down and may Q be generous with your dice.
State of the Federation is a non-profit fan-based production of Tucker Kobe, Joseph Vanderyacht, and Robert Fletcher. Star Trek, Star Trek Attack Wing, and all other copyrights are owned by their respective copyright holders. State of the Federation original concept created by William Sanchez.